Okay, well, this is an exciting moment for me because I am your mom and I get to officially introduce you as Ziva and get to know a lot more about you. So, Ziva.
Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Ziva. I'm a contemporary R&B singer and songwriter, and today I will be delving into my now released EP called Candid.
So that's what I wanted to know. And maybe you can fill me in. Why is the EP called Candid?
So the EP is called Candid because it's being released and it's been crafted after a period of self-reflection and awakening to my own shadows and perpetuation of cycles, as well as my own light and the power I hold over my mind and therefore my reality. It's about me being candid with myself and consequently being candid with the world in an effort to propel myself on the journey of aligning with the most authentic version of me in a nutshell.
I love that. And it is. And I love that you framed it and titled it Candid because I think it seems like this is the wave that we're in today's space. Like we really want to self-reflect and get a sense of who we are. Can you just share a little bit about what was your journey? Like how did you start the process of trying to be candid with yourself or real with yourself? Like what does that look like?
It's a lot of alone time, a lot of what we call shadow work, like journaling and observing your own behaviors, and just being self-aware and conscious of what you're doing, how you're interacting with people, how you're sharing your energy and how you feel around other people and how they make you feel. And it's really like an immersive process of experiencing and then reflecting on those experiences.
I love that. I love that for us because it's also a model. Like it shows us how to just take a step back, because I think we do have to have some flexibility, especially when it comes to reflection and know when something doesn't feel like it's truly your authentic self.
Right.
And then just live into that moment. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. So now that we get into your new EP, and I'm really excited to talk about it, tell us about like your process lyrically. Like, what is that like?
My process. I feel like a lot of the lyrics, sometimes I write a song and I don't even know what happened. Like it feels like the lyrics just come to me, especially if I hear a melody or an instrumental that really resonates with me. The melodies come first and then the lyrics come. And I think it's lately it's been coming to me a lot, especially for this EP. I feel like I've been so inspired and everything comes to me in terms of lyrics a lot more easily than it did before. For this EP in particular, I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain, I think there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm going to explain specifically with each song what it means. But I want to start off by saying that everyone is entitled to interpreting these songs in any way that's relevant to them. For me, the meaning of one song can change throughout my life depending on where I'm at mentally. So I'm going to explain my thought process when I was writing these songs, but I also want listeners to not be tied to my interpretation. It can mean something completely different for you, and that's okay. It's all about perspective, and it's still authentic either way. So
I love that you said that. I love that you said that only because you started with saying that was you and that's what you did for you. So you would expect the same for your listeners.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Tell us more.
Yeah. So if I could get into like specifically the songs, the first song on the EP is called Let Me Know. And it's as a whole about feeling misaligned and indecisive about what you want in life and wanting someone to tell you how they feel before you reveal how you feel out of a fear of rejection. And I interpret rejection as someone not sharing the same feelings or even thoughts as you, or refusing your thoughts or feelings. And in the song, I repeat the words, I'm on a mission to make it all right. So it's also about self-awareness and acknowledging your shadow, which we've identified as fearing rejection in this song in particular, and aiming to heal that part of yourself because it makes everything conditional in the end. And you don't necessarily want to be that way. It's like, I only like you if you like me back. But that's not true. It's a defense mechanism. You feel the way you feel regardless of how someone else feels. And I thought that song, Let Me Know, would be a good setup that leads into the second song on the EP, which is called La Da Da Dee, which I've released already, but I thought it just fit in so perfectly because it's about the opposite. It's about having confidence and love for yourself, which then reflects outward onto your relationship and manifests in you having unconditional love for and confidence in your partner. And then the third song on the EP is called Sound the Gong. And I actually recently wrapped up filming a music video for that one, which I'm so excited to share. But that one's basically the next level of consciousness. It's all about realizing who you are and settling into that feeling of confidence and knowing the power that you hold over your own reality and being mindful of what can hold you back from your truest potential. And then finally, we have the last song, which is called Potions, and it's one of my personal favorites. It's about surrendering to the power of love, whether that love be for yourself or for others or for both. It's about acknowledging your fears, but still moving forward. In the verse, there's a part where I'm having a dialogue with my mind. My thoughts are being discouraging, but I combat it with words of positivity, and then that negativity dissipates. It's like a battle of energies, so to speak. And then at the very end of the song, I say, I need to know which way we're rowing, which indicates fear and a lack of trust, which is another part of the shadow that I mentioned before. And I left that at the end of the EP to symbolize the journey. Healing is a journey, and you might relapse, but once you know something, you can't not know it, at least not under normal circumstances. So in the end, there's still hope that because you've been through this before, you can overcome again. And every time it gets easier because you're more resilient.
I love that. Like it's, when you were talking, it just reminds me of like just a layer of experiences that we have to go through naturally in order to get to whatever our end goal is. And as you mentioned, just like walking in faith, faith is when you take a step out, sometimes you have to go back and you go forward again. And that's part of your reflective process. But when you finally do and you decide to meet whatever that challenge is without knowing, I think the ultimate feeling is knowing that you've gone through that part and coming to that realization.
Right.
So I love how you just encompass all of that in your music. Like it just seems to be so well thought out. And so I thought of a layering of that experience for us. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for, letting me, at least, and of course, I'm going to see it and feel it on my own. But I think it's also important for us to know that our artists are thinking in that capacity. And so that music is just not a tool that you listen to, but it has depth to it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So we're going to switch gears a little bit because, I saw your visualizer, but let me know. And I want, just an explanation of like the direction, like what direction were you going in? And clarify anything that you feel like your viewers might want to know more about.
Right. Okay. So I've explained the song, Let Me Know what that means to me. And that meaning quite literally ties into the visuals of the video. So in the video, I start off obvious. It's black and white. I'm standing in front of a white light, and I'm wearing all black. But as the camera zooms in, you get a peek into the non-obvious, which is the battle I'm fighting within my mind. So if we say, Let Me Know is in a nutshell about being misaligned and wanting to find your way back to balance, the visuals of me in red with the fire is the embodiment of that misalignment and that confusion and that fear, while the visual of me in blue and silver is the healed and balanced version of myself. So in the cover art, the two versions of me are shaking hands because they've accepted that they both exist simultaneously. So essentially it represents the integration of shadow and light and making the darkness consciousness to achieve wholeness. And full integration of the shadow and light requires a transmutation process, which is why the front of the cover art is, the font is futuristic and distressed. I associate transmutation and transformation with technology. So I decided to visually portray that through the font. So it kind of all ties in. And I mentioned the cover art because as you can see, when you see the visualize, you notice that the outfits, like that depiction of me, is the same as it is in the cover art.
I love that. It almost feels like you're saying that you have to get to know your shadows in order to go through understanding the light.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about your styling and your color schemes. What inspired you and anything you want to share about that?
Well, I feel like, well, that's a great question. I feel like I've always associated red with passion and, but also fury and rage. Like there's so many emotions and, associations with red. And I don't know, it just felt right to me to associate that, like depict that as the shadow in the video and the cover art. And then the opposite of red, at least in my mind, is blue. And so, I mean, in the cover art and in the video, it's like it oscillates between red, white and blue. And then I'm wearing like a metallic silver jacket. I feel like all those kind of colors go together, and it's supposed to represent like enlightenment and healing and peace, serenity. That's why you see when I'm in the blue lighting and I'm in that silver trench coat, I'm also meditating at one point in the video. Whereas when I'm wearing the red trench coat, I seem distressed and I seem anxious, and it seems like there's some kind of battle going on. So those I associated with energies. And so just taking the red and then the blue, it just seems opposing. And so I decided to make that my main focus visually.
I love it. No, I love it. No, I could see it. And it adds just, I guess, again, such depth to our understanding, even your color palette and your, the style and just how it all comes together with the clothing. It's not just by chance. Like you took a lot of, every detail matters, it seems like, when you're putting this together. I love it. And so, I think this is the trickiest question because we always get to this point where now you're at this stage. Can you just share, like, how is this EP different from anything else that you've done?
This EP is different from anything I've put out because it's so complex and it's a culmination of lessons that I've learned and my visual and sonic interpretation of them. I don't think I really needed an interview to explain anything I've put out before because most of them were pretty literal. So this project is definitely different in that there's a lot to unpack. Like I even found myself, a lot of these things that I've spoken about throughout this interview in terms of like the lyrical direction, some of it I was thinking while I was writing the song, but then a lot of it came to me after I dissected my own song. Like I would listen back to it and I would have all these epiphanies and kind of backtrack to figure out how all of these songs come together because I didn't necessarily write them in succession. La Da Da Dee I wrote like last year and then it came out. No, actually I think I wrote La Da Da Dee like 2 years ago, honestly. And then it came out last year. And then I wrote Potions like a few months ago. And then it was just all sporadic. Like it didn't come out in succession. So it's not like they all made sense together until after the fact when I listened to all of them. And then somehow they all made sense together. And so I decided to put them in the EP. So it is very complex and I feel like I'm still unpacking it and I'm so excited to see how my listeners interpret it because their interpretation might be different from my own. So I think it's all about perspective. But this EP is very special because like I said, it's just complex. It has depth to it. And I think you can come out with, I think it grows with you. It can grow with you. I feel like if you listen to this EP at one stage in your life, you might interpret it as one thing, but then if you listen to it again, then you might think something else. You might develop another conclusion about it, or you might realize something else about it because there's a lot of meaning in every section of it.
Yeah. I'm just in awe. I'm in awe, and not because I'm biased, but I really am because it's almost like I don't know, like it's how can I frame this? In my mind, I just didn't want to blurt out that you're a creative genius, but it seems that way. And I mean, because you write your own songs. And it's not only that you write your own songs, it's that it's very thoughtful. And it means so much. So in hearing you express, the depth of meaning, I keep saying depth of meaning because I think that's important. And then also saying that it has that for you, but then we can interpret it in our own way. And then even stage of when we're listening to it in our life, we'll still have another interpretation. It's just ever evolving. And I think that that's the beauty of what you're doing for us as listeners. So what's the future of ZIVA? What does the future of ZIVA look like?
Okay, so
What ZIVA?
Okay, so for this next chapter of ZIVA, I'd like to put out more music more frequently. I actually find it fun dissecting my own music, so I'd like to put out more complex pieces like this one that need to be explained, but then every once in a while, I think it's okay to just have a fun, catchy song that I enjoy singing and people enjoy listening to. So I'd like to kind of maintain that balance. And then I'd also like to share more content in general as well, more interviews. So I'm less elusive, at least to my regular listeners. Unless they like that, I don't know, but I have to figure that out. And I guess overall, this next chapter is about sharing more and pushing my creativity to the next level, just kind of discovering more about what I like to do creatively and sharing that with my listeners and whoever's willing to listen.
So I just want to say that just thank you. Thank you for choosing me and allowing me to do this type of interview with you. I'm really honored. I'm honored to get some more insight. So now when I listen to your music, and I listen to all of it, I'm going to listen to it intently for my own self. And I'm also going to listen to it and take everything you've said in this interview and listen to it with a different set of ears and come up with my own again, because it's just so enlightening hearing from the artist. And I think that sometimes you need to have multiple perspectives when you're listening to music. So thank you again for having this interview and choosing me to do it. It was an honor to speak with you in this way. So thank you, ZIVA.
Thank you. Thank you for being honestly the best interviewer I've ever had.
You're not biased now. You're not just saying that, are you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Love you. Soon. Bye. Bye.